Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Jonah from Teachable, and we are here today going to chat for a while with Darnell Brown. Darnell, how you doing?
Doing well, my friend. I hope that you are well too. I hope that our viewers are doing well so far in this new year. And happy
Yeah,
to be here. Genuine pleasure.
yeah, I'm doing well. And everyone watching, hop in the comments. Let us know you're here. Let us know how you're doing. Hopefully, if you haven't seen, we recently posted on our YouTube a interview with Darnell Brown, diving all into downloadables. We're really obsessed with downloadables this month because we recently released a new feature where you can sell and offer downloadables as part of the Teachable platform. So, we're trying to work with all of the creators who have success and who know all about this topic on our YouTube channel, in the blog, everywhere where you're hearing about us. It's going to be a lot about downloadables because we want to help you understand how to package products like this. And we talked before when Darnell and I were sitting down and it wasn't live. We got to dive into a whole bunch of tangents about it and everything. But they can be tricky just wrapping your head around how to create something that's really valuable, but in a small package and how to use it appropriately in your business. So, we're going to be diving into that live here with Darnell. And feel free to ask any questions at any point. Before you leave at the end, make sure to check out the links in the description. Darnell has some value pack downloadables in there and a new course coming up. But we're just going to dive right in. Once again, ask a question at any time, comment, just wave your hand, yell if you love something. We're here for all of it. But Darnell, just to get started, for anyone who may know about you or just knows a little bit about you, can you just introduce yourself? Let us know a bit about your platform. And also, I love asking creators to clarify and make known what is the transformation that you are hoping to offer your students and audience customers.
Yeah, so I appreciate the introduction and the warm words. So again, I'm Darnell Brown. I'm a growth strategist, educator, designer. I do several things, and these days I'm giving creative entrepreneurs the tools, clarity, and flexibility to do more of what moves them and less of what doesn't. And I think when it comes to transformations, I offer several of them. Uh, Strategies would be the biggest one. I offer different systems as well too. Of course, motivation, coaching, and fulfillment, and asking deep questions that are I'm trying to get people to be led into lives of more fulfillment and less of doing things that they don't like. So it's transformations in several regards, and it depends on how best to deliver like transformations within those umbrellas is always kind of an evolving act, right? So yeah, that's a little bit
Yeah.
about me and my transformation.
Yeah. I love that. It could be a whole nother session about how long it takes or how you get to the point where you can say that transformation in in a sentence. But
Yeah.
I love that,
Yeah.
and I love having you say that. Let let's get into it kind of right away. I would love to hear in your words, just generally, what a downloadable is and how you use it on your platform. I think a lot of people immediately think just an ebook or something like that, but it has a lot of different forms. So love to hear in your words, yeah, what it is and how you go about using it.
Yeah, sure. So I think of a digital download as a consumable product that is sold or given away online, and it is made by you creating a piece of content and uploading it to a server and having people download it from that server and get the transformation that you're promising. And usually like digital downloads, they're made for a broader audience. It's something that you kind of create once and multiple people can download it, and you never run out of copies of it. Of course you can remove it from the server if you want to, but it's always there, and you never run out of it. And so it's almost like a kind of a renewable product that is always there and kind of timeless in that way. And in terms of how I use it in a few different ways. I'm often thinking about how how to attract people to my content. So I use digital downloads in that way. I'm saying, okay, well, here's something that is attractive, that offers a transformation, and I'm putting it out there so that people can consume it and get what I'm promising out of it. I use it to entice people to join my email list, which is how many of us use them, right? Digital downloads as lead magnets. Sometimes it could be for me as well as a proof of concept. So something that I'm testing out that might turn into a bigger idea. I'm seeing if it is consumable and digestible enough for people, or if it makes sense to expand on this topic a little bit further. And then finally, I use digital downloads to like eventually lead into higher ticket offers, right? So it's a low barrier to entry most of the time. And then when you're getting into courses or any one-to-one trainings or any group trainings of any sort, like these are things that are going to be more demanding on your time and on your accessibility, but you want to give people kind of an entry point and into who you are and what it is that you have to offer. I like to break down complex topics and ideas and insights into bite-sized, like digestible chunks. I think that's kind of my whole ethos with it. And whether that's a digital download or a course, how can you take complex topics? How can you take calculus and turn it into like first grade math or something? And when you can make things very digestible, that's a very attractive point for people. And when you can turn things into system or processes, and give people quick wins, especially with a digital download, I think we're not looking for 100-page novels or anything, or even 100-page slide decks or presentations. We want it to be less, of course, less pages than that, but something that we can consume, I would say, rather quickly. And the transformation that you're promising, whatever's on your cover page, you want that to be something that people can get in a very short amount of time, relatively speaking, as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of elements there, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it all makes sense, and I love it. When we were talking last time, it was fun. We were like, as we were going, uncovering the different uses for digital downloads, like upsells, downsells, all these different ways that you can package and reuse the information. But I'm going to latch on to a specific thing you said, which is these bite-sized chunks and trying to distill and compress that information. Right? I think we're in the age of compression. People want more faster.
Yeah.
So
It's like Silicon Valley, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, I get tripped out on the bigger, like, cosmic theory of compression over time, but for another time. That's,
Yeah.
but with this specifically, I I know from my own experience and talking to a lot of creators that it can be difficult to know kind of where the boundary is of value within a product, especially when it's smaller. When you go to build a course, you're like pouring your heart out, right? You're just
Mhm.
like, I want to give my students everything, every little bit. And so, do you have any systems you use yourself or guidelines for like capping the value, or knowing when you've got the right amount of value in a small product like that, or knowing that it will be or is valuable?
Yeah, that's a good question and a conundrum I think we often face as content creators. How much information to put into what a traditional digital download is and what people are used to and expecting. I think my barometer is usually like the higher level, the strategic work that you're doing or that you're presenting, the higher level it is, like the more it should be likely to become a digital download versus something like a course. And
Hmm.
so one way that you can look at that is like you could have a complex issue that your audience is facing, or a topic that has many moving parts to it, and you're looking at like the highest level version of that idea, of saying, oh, okay, well, these are questions that you should be asking, or these are myths that are busted, where you're trying to get people to kind of buy into the transformation or the idea, or that you are the person that is suited to solve this, and that you have something else coming down the line. You want to be able to create digital downloads in a reasonable amount of time, and it shouldn't be taking you months and things to do it. If it is, it probably should become a course at that point. But you want to be thinking of, okay, well, how can I solve this problem and provide a transformation at a very high level, so that they get it, so that they understand it, but I'm not wasting their time, and it needs to be short. And so, like, it's art and science with it. You got to be thinking scientifically in those terms of what is like the highest level answer that I can provide that solves this issue on like a base level and for many people. And that should be a product that I end up creating. And so we'll get into it when we go into like the example that we'll share. But that's like a really good example of me taking this type of really broad idea and there's so many different directions you can go with it. But I would say, yeah, 1000% absolutely, like, think high level when it comes to digital downloads, and then like super deep, intricate levels when it comes into courses and training, where you need to be spending a lot of time with people and dealing with kind of customized and personalized solutions depending on what people are going through.
Yeah.
So you want to have a blanket, kind of a blanket product, a product that is as agnostic as possible, still limited to within the niche that you're serving, but it should be something that like a lot of people can relate to, they can understand, they can get, and then boom, you're going to give them a transformation by the time that they are done reading this or consuming the digital download.
Yeah. I love every time we talk, you're like anti-compartmentalist to me, where it's in that it's about science, it's about music, and coming to the same thought from all these different angles. But you've used this term a lot before. When I was been talking to, like, industry agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
And before we dive in, and I know you brought some examples to just actually comb through and look at, but can you just like define how you use that, or what that means relative to your industry? Because I know it's not just like everybody loves cookies; it still has to link back to you. So how
Yeah,
do
it
you
still
make
has a
that?
link
Yeah.
back. And so I think it comes from this idea, Jonah, of impact, right? And creating enough impact for enough people who need what it is that you have to offer. And so you're thinking about the common denominator of problems that people have, and when you realize that, oh, well, this is something that applies in this industry as well, this is something that applies over here, you start to come to those revelations kind of organically, and you start to say, well, hold up, like, you see analogies everywhere. It's not, it's like, so creative entrepreneurship, or just entrepreneurship in general, right? So this is like an umbrella of the huge umbrella of my audience, people coming into entrepreneurship, people trying to sustain it. And so that covers many different industries. And I'm always thinking about, could this topic be brought to more people, or how can I envelop more people into the ecosystem? And when you're doing that, you're trying to find the analogies, trying to find the common denominators between people, their problems, a lot of things keeping the people up at night. And so you're looking at all of those different sides of things, Jonah. And that comes from really just being curious enough about the audience to ask some questions and to really probe. And when you see that, okay, creative entrepreneurs, the common denominator, the one thing that they think about at night a lot is like creating legacy to some degree. Sometimes that is legacy for their family. Sometimes it is to be like known as the breadwinner in their family, because when you take that creative risk, for instance, you might not be making money and stuff for a while. So they might be like talking about legacy in terms of setting an example for their family. or legacy on a larger impact. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's something that people outside of creative entrepreneurs I know think about, because I've asked
Mm,
them before. And then so I'm like, oh, okay, well, how do I break this down for them? How do I make this work? And so when you can think in those terms of broadening out the topic, making it basically what you're going for, Joan, is like relatability at that point.
mm,
And giving people a reason to you're inviting more people into the door by doing that. And then that it leads them to other revelations as well too. And so I'm just looking for like all of the analogous like like scenarios. I think I've always been attracted to analogies growing up. I think it's a really cool way to express information and to find similarities and commonalities. And when you can do that and create products around it, it's a unique approach. But yeah, I'm always thinking, okay, industry agnostic, because yeah, you could be an entrepreneur in almost any niche. You could come up with a product or a platform in any niche. And so you can't, you're not discriminating towards anything. If anything, like you're welcoming that. But at the same time, you're building products, digital downloads, and courses for specific niches, like within the broader niche sometimes, and that's okay. And
mm,
so you might have a digital download to say, okay, yeah, this is for firefighters or something, and this is for letterers, but it might be the same thing, and you're just
mm.
doing a different twist on it. But
Yeah.
it won't happen unless you're going deep into your imagination like that, and unless you're curious enough about people to really ask and just be genuinely kind of obsessed with what makes people tick.
Ah. Oh, I like coming from that place. It's also just true too, right? That people learn the same thing in different ways, or it takes
Yeah, different
or it
ways of some,
takes yeah, hearing the same thing different ways before you learn it. It's yeah.
or like hitting you at the right time,
Yeah.
something that you heard at the time in your life that you needed to hear it, or the way a person said it that is not related to you or something. Sometimes we're too close to it, and so if it's somebody from the outside, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's a sign at this point. Like
Yeah.
the see, so it's those are different ways that you got to look at it. You just got to be kind of intentional and open your radar to that point so that you can be receiving all of these signals.
Yeah. Oh, man. So much there. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the older I get, the more I'm like something will happen. I'm like, "Oh, that's what my 8th grade math teacher was talking about." Like it comes in
And
waves and a different yeah. But
yeah, that's how it is.
yeah.
A
But I
thousand
would love
percent.
you're generous enough to be willing to show us one of your digital downloads and we can kind of break it up and dig into it a little bit. So if you're up for it, I would love to bring it on screen and just kind of walk through your thinking as you built this product. And for everyone watching, feel free to ask questions as we go. I think it helps a lot just to see an actual product in its form and dive into like what your thinking was behind it.
Yeah, 1000%. Let's do it. The
Yeah.
moment you all have been waiting for. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Drum
Pew, pew,
roll,
pew,
drum roll.
pew. Yeah.
Let's do this. So, okay, so this was a digital download I created some time ago, and I think this was one of my earliest ones, one of the ones I was kind of coming out the gate with, and one that was built off of a larger idea. So I call this the Smart Brand Playbook: 10 Crucial Steps to Quickly and Successfully Launch Your Brand. And so this was Jonah behind this idea of, okay, I'm realizing that there's a lot of like trepidation with starting businesses. This was created for people who are on the verge or who may be side hustling or were really thinking about getting their feet wet. Let me break this down into 10 steps, and you'd be surprised, like coming from someone that has graphic design background, that like creating your logo is not the first thing that I would advise that you do when thinking about starting a business or even creating a startup. So I titled it, I designed it, I came up with this with what the problem that I was trying to solve at that time, which was, okay, people on the fence and they don't, they see me have confidence and energy around entrepreneurship, and I'm trying to get them over that edge as well. So, that's just my title page, and you want it to be, of course, as spicy as possible so that it can be compelling. Okay, 10 crucial
Mm-hmm.
steps quickly and successfully launch your brand. That's going to be appealing to some people. I go right into, I like to start off my digital downloads with talking about who it's for, because I never want to presume that the person came into it like knowing anything about me or knowing whether or not this is right for them. So you want to make sure to cover all of those bases ahead of time. And so I list, who this is for, those types of things. Context is another thing that I'm like super big on, just in general. And so I try to create like the digital downloads the way I would like information brought down to me. And context is very important. And so this simply is trying to frame the mind into thinking in the right terms, right? So I'm talking about businesses that fail these different percentages and getting them to say, okay, this is difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Starting and launching a business, yeah, you could start it, but you're going to go through some peaks and valleys, and it's difficult. And so you got to decide right here and now at this page during this part of the presentation if this is for you, if you want to go any further, if this scares you or not. And if it doesn't, then let's keep on moving. So I go into the first steps because, again, broke this down in 10 steps. And I say that picking a problem is the absolute most first thing, chronologically speaking, when it comes to launching a business quickly. And the more swiftly that you can get to that revelation of the problem that it is that you're solving, like the better everything else is going to be. And it kind of organically feeds into the other elements of your business. And so I broke this down, and this was actually, Jonah, I used this as a slide deck within a course. And so this was just me creating a paid version of just the slide deck that I use in case people wanted to just have that and not do the course at all. So again, experimenting, testing both sides of this. Do I include it with the course? Do I sell it as a standalone? Do I use it as a lead magnet? I'm always experimenting and open to what the people tell me. Yeah. And yeah, basically, most of the pages are set up like this, where we have the problem. I got the step over here that we're in. So that I'm always trying to ensure that the person knows where they are in the slide deck. And I'm talking about, okay, notice and select and commit, right? And so I'm trying to break these complex topics, super digestible, just a few sentences, and really make it, bring it down to basics for people, and remove all of the fluff, and not waste people's time. And how can you do that as much as possible? And so people don't want to look at a bunch of words. You need imagery and things to spice stuff up, colors, especially, again, considering that I might not be in front of them when they are looking at this. So how do you kind of leave your mark? How do you leave your imprint, your authorship in the work that you create? And so mine is to use colors and stuff in this way, and to use certain phrases and word things in a certain manner, right? That's my way of doing stuff. Examples, super important as well too. So for every step, I believe so in this particular digital download, I include an example, because the context, again, is important, and you want people to be able to step into the shoes of like the way that you're thinking, and take an example that a lot of people are familiar with, right? Feeling taken advantage of when you go to get your car service, or how you always got to come out with more things. Like you went in there for an oil change, but now you all of a sudden need alignment, and your tires going flat. It's like you feel like you're being swindled and stuff. So I came up with this hypothetical example of building kind of a business that was meant to like combat the type of service that you receive when you take your car to the dealership. And so all through this, I'm hypothetically like walking them through this and what this looks like for each step. Because again, context matters. It's super important. And the quicker that you can, again, create those analogies, create like imaginary scenarios for people that they can get, and that they felt this is very relatable. It's something that so many of us have been through. Like you get it at that point, and you say, oh, well, man, if I can create this hypothetical idea for a business, like right here in this, not only I don't even know if this idea actually exists or not, but if it doesn't, like somebody should create it.
Somebody.
But yeah, somebody should create that. And then you again, you just want to give examples and stuff in there. It just creates a really good framework for people to imagine themselves into, because we can't take imagination for granted. I think we're all good at it, but people look at creatives like we're able to realize things that we imagine. But the great thing that if you what you want to be able to do is put yourself in a position to like bring in more people into the door and like share that imagination with people or get them to thinking in those types of terms. And when you can do that, you create more value for them. You create more value for yourself. You've lowered that trust barrier for people, and they say, well, man, this person is who they say they are. And then boom, give people resources. So every step, I leave an example. I talk about the topic in it, and I'm giving you resources of where you can go to, for instance, find problems. Quora, Reddit, Facebook groups, right? Problems are everywhere, and everybody's vocal about things that they complain about. So like step one is actually like the easiest step in it. Like just pick one versus like just having an idea and then it coming out and it landing with a thud because nobody cared about it. But if you started here at the problem and then you went into defining your consumer, because you've seen the problem, you've seen who has it, and now you have to know whether or not you care enough about that audience, right? So that's just me kind of breaking down the mechanics of how I built this particular digital download, right?
And then you just go through the 10.
You go through the 10
ones,
steps,
right?
You wrap it up, and we get all the way to the end, and I kind of bring it back where I recap all of the steps.
Oh, nice.
You got to have a recap at the end. I give them a bonus of things to remember, and I give them all of this. So you're just trying to create more value, under promising and over delivering as much as you can. But I've been told, and even from my college professor, he said that I was he admired my ability to break down complex information in like super rudimentary terms, and like looking at that as like a feature versus a bug. And all my life, I thought that I was still very complex with things. I feel like I can make things more digestible. So this is kind of an ode to that skill, I suppose, that I didn't know was there. But when you can do it, like, again, you're becoming more relatable, you're bringing more people in the door, and you're making that barrier to entry very low with you. And then, and I thanking people for investing in them. Because you got to, man. It's not easy waking up, like, I guess having the confidence to keep going. And again, you're gonna have trials and tribulations with entrepreneurship, but you want to have guides and support where you can find it. So
I love that. It's so cool to see it actually in action, and then you're wasting no time building this, because this could become a course or even smaller downloads. I just see how valuable an exercise of even building a product like this is for your own brand. When you're doing this, you must also be reflecting on the problem you're solving and thinking of other problems. Like, it
1000%.
seems cyclical, right?
Is very cyclical. Absolutely. And it's like you could create a multi-page presentation like this. Like, this is 40 plus pages. So this is on the longer end of what a digital download probably that I would be. It's probably why I sell it. But yeah, and it's only 10 steps, but it's like I can't remove anything almost in it. Like, it's just the essentials. Obviously you could decrease the font sizing and squeeze stuff onto more pages, but you're trying to make it very digestible and easy for people so that you don't have excuses. And I think with this one, Jonah, I'd also included like worksheets as well too, to make it even more process driven, because people like when you can take them from point A to point B and indicate all of the steps in between.
Yeah.
So what is more like literal than that of me saying 10 steps? Like, it's easy to remember. It's something that sticks, and it's something that if you're interested in starting a business, or if you've been on the fence, this is something that you'd absolutely be interested or considering in terms of consuming, for sure. So I've designed it to be that way. But yeah, this is one of the longer ones for sure, 40-page one, but yeah, I think you can get there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
There are
Well,
very few words on each slide.
and it sticks, and yeah, now it's nice to see it in practice. It's easy to now conceptualize what you're talking about when it's industry agnostic. Yes, this is going to speak to your specific audience, but this is valuable for anyone starting a business or working at a business, and trying to consult
Because
and
we
help. Yeah,
exactly, because we've all most of us have been to the dealership before. So like
yeah,
the obvious thing to
yeah,
do would be
yeah,
like to create like my version, or like even a meta version of like in all of the places that I put the examples, it could have been like a graphic designer starting like a logo based business. That would have been the obvious route to go to. But if I'm going industry agnostic, I'm going to pick something like that is more relatable than a graphic designer building a business. So that was kind of the thinking going into it. And when
yeah,
you can do that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's something that I get, and that's a problem that is very real, that probably still exists. And so how can we, how can I solve that and organize that information? And the last
yeah.
thing I would say, Jonah, is this: that I mean, I think like I don't know, like administratively, what I'm going for, you want to put the title. I put the title on like every page, and your web address at the bottom, because you don't like if any part of your page of your digital download gets extracted, or someone screenshots it or something. Like you want to always be branding as much as you
Mm,
can. So keep it out of the way, leave it subtle, but you have people know who created it and where this is from, and you're making that a little bit more easy for them. So that's kind of the thinking going into each one. So, and the
yeah,
photos relate to the content on the page, stuff like that.
right. Oh, those are good tips. So, uh, we don't got a whole lot more time here, so I want to ask kind of the big follow up, which is now you have a product like this.
Yeah,
Now you got to sell it.
yeah, now you got to
so,
sell it. That's true.
so can you walk us through? Yeah, like
Oh, my
your
my my sales page.
yeah, or a little bit a combination. It would be nice to see your sales page in the same light. Now we've seen some of the product. What's the sales page like? Also, just some tips about how you represent a product like this and how you build and sell it properly.
Yeah, so that's a good idea. So I think well, so for me, I'm thinking about low barrier entry point, right? So I'm thinking of a digital download in those terms. How can I make it? How can I make this foolproof? How can this be an accurate representation of the value that I offer, and be compelling for people, and offer a transformation, and wrap all of that up neatly with a bow on it? But ultimately, you're thinking of, okay, low barrier entry point. Uh, you're trying to get people to trust you, and see you as an authority in your niche, and you want to give them a reason to believe that. And a digital download is a way to to have that win-win, something that doesn't take you too long to create, and something that provides a transformation in not too long of a time span for the prospect. So I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about, can this be an evergreen piece of content, and can this be a calling card ultimately? Right. So for a while, this digital download I looked at it like a calling card. This is something that you can give out and say, well, this is an accurate representation of what I can do, who I'm in business for, and the type of value that I offer in
Mm,
this way. And so I'm thinking of all of those things in terms of like communicating the value that I could bring to something. Um, I'm trying to say, well, let me frame this problem in a certain way, in a certain light, and then show you why it's worth your time for you to consume this digital download. Like, these are just subconscious things, right? That are going on all of the time. And you're asking constantly, like, is this interesting? Is this going to hold my prospect's attention? And leave nothing up to chance and have no expectations with it. Like earn everything, as I always say, expect nothing, earn everything. So if it didn't do what it needed to do, I'm looking at where is my fault? Where do I take accountability for that, and what can I shape up the next time? Did I send it? Did I try to put it in front of the wrong audience? Was it the right solution but for the wrong time?
Mm.
There's so many factors. Some are outside of your control and some are within your control. But you get back up, you go back at it, or you create a new digital download, or you update the one that you have. You have those options. So I hope that makes sense in terms of like uh that part of the question in terms of how I'm communicating the value. Did you have questions around like marketing or anything?
Yeah, well, and I'm curious how you in addition to like social media and those elements, how you go about marketing a product like this. Or I know we talked so far about selling a digital download, but there's the other side too of just using them to attract leads or to attract
Right.
new customers and that kind of side. um so if you can speak a little more to just, yeah, now how do you go about marketing your products? I love you kind of answered my last question just now about what do you do when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you hit it, you revamp, you figure a new system out. Um, but yeah, other than just, I think what I'm trying to dig into is I see a lot of people when they're doing this their first time, they create it, they set it up, they have their sales page, and they put one post on Instagram, and then a million people don't buy it, and they're like, "Oh, this isn't for me."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do know. I know all too well. Like as as we talked about promoting and broadcasting, I'm so bad at that. That's I'm not in pocket when I'm doing those things, but from a process standpoint and from a strategic standpoint, like you can understand the steps that it would take. Like you can go through the motions. I know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it and not feeling like icky about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's in terms of marketing. Yeah, you got to start with like the transformation and who it's for, and have that start to guide things. We know we all have to use social media regardless of what we think about it and our opinions of it, but we ultimately, Jonah, have to be very excited about the things that we create. We have to be ecstatic about it, genuinely so, because people could tell when you're faking it. So
Yep.
how do you build up enough enthusiasm and excitement about something that you've created? You feel it in your gut. You know it provides the value. You know it provides the transformation. You're obsessed about your audience. You got to let that energy out, and before you can expect others to feel that way or to even care about doing it. So you got to have fun with it. You got to love what you're doing, and you have to set smaller goals for sure, at least in the beginning. And so instead of thinking, oh, okay, I'm trying to get 100 sales, or I'm trying to get X amount of people on my list and having these higher numbers. It could just be, 5 people or something over this period of time, because we're all humans at the end of the day, and we all have very, unique lives and complex lives, and you don't want to be thinking just in terms of like reaching arbitrary numbers and stuff. Like, you got to nurture people and really build a relationship. Right. We can't be asking people to marry us when we still should be asking for the first date, really. And we sometimes we
Yeah.
jump over
Yeah.
that, we jump over that broom, man. We jump over that gap and don't put in the time to nurture these relationships. And so you have to think of things in completely different terms. Right. So when I
Mm.
said I'm using it as a calling card, that could be inspiration for you watching this. Why don't you see your first digital download that you create, if you're new to it, as your calling card, as a version of what your business card would be, a great reflection of who you are, what you can offer, your style, and everything, all baked into a single product. And maybe that is offered for free, and maybe no one will care, but the exercise of doing it, and somebody will care about it, and it will be useful to someone at a specific time. And these are things that, again, we can't always control, but we can create the thing, we can create the transformation, and we can earn the platform that we seek, so that we're able to share this product with people if we can. And again, just being genuinely interested in people, I think really helps things. When it comes, Jonah, to the side of, okay, well, what to do when something fails, or how do I mitigate like my risk if I'm going to come out with something? And I think with mitigating risk, the big thing is to just keep an ear to the street. Meaning you have to you gotta know your audience. You gotta know the things that they're struggling with. You have to care about it. No one can teach you that. No one can teach you how to care about something. That's something that's going to be inherent, like within you relating to a problem that exists, or you relating to the world as you know it, and you want to see changes in it. So you got to ask. You got to understand what they're going through. Be obsessed enough about it, and recognize that this is an opportunity to ask meaningful questions. And when you ask meaningful questions, and you don't waste people's time, you'll learn what they need. You'll learn, okay, well, this must mean the transformation, because you're already creative. You already can imagine things. You're just applying it in a different context now. You're going into it with a purpose, with intentionality. You're saying, okay, well, I'm going to ask these questions and I'm going to find the common denominator. So I mitigate risk, Jonah. I mitigate risk by making sure that enough people have that issue. And whatever that barometer is for me, it could be different for someone else. But I'm usually just happy if 10 people respond to something. So I go, my metric is like super low. It's probably lower than what some people would even recommend, actually. They might say like you need to poll like 100 people to determine whether or not you want a problem. But if 8 people had this problem and I talked to 10, that's an 80% conversion rate. Even that they responded in the first place, let alone that you even found a common denominator. And I'm just like, well, I know 8 people I could sell this to or give it to for free that I know it's going to work for. And I know that they're going to be ecstatic about it, that I built a solution specifically for them to quell their issues that they're solving. So that's the big thing. That the simplest answer to mitigate risk is to ask. If you don't know how to ask, if you have trouble with asking, then you should start with something that you already are a topic that you're curious about, that you have a degree of interest in, so that it feels a little bit more natural. And so we have to ensure that enough people have the problem that we're uniquely suited to solve. That's the other thing. And again, you have to decide what that barometer is for you. But when you have that and you say, well, enough people have this, now I'm going to build a digital download around this, and I'm going to put it in front of them, and I'm going to let them know and keep them in the loop, and all of these different things. I think that makes people excited. It shows that you're transparent, that there's no facade with you, and that you are, you're there for them. Like, this matters to you. You want to solve this problem not only for them, but for yourself, or for an earlier version of you who had that problem back then. That's another good way of looking at it. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, Jonah. The best entrepreneurs are really just great problem solvers. And to be a great problem solver, you have to be a great listener, a great observer. And again, you can't teach a person to be curious or to be passionate or to be obsessed with something. That's inherently within you. We have to know what that is. And if we don't know, we have to experiment with different things and say, how does this feel? Like, does this give me energy? Or does this drain my energy? If it gives you energy, then you're headed in the right direction. Become obsessed about that enough to ask questions. And it's up to you as the creative, as the entrepreneur, to decipher what's the transformation that needs to occur to quell that problem. And that's what your digital download should do. That's what your course should do. And when you can do that, you're on the road. That's what's worked for me. That's the way I would teach it to people. And that's the most basic way to break that down.
Oh, I love that. Even just simply that the best way to mitigate risk is to ask the right questions. If that's all you get out of today, that's worth $1 million right there.
And genuinely, man, that's the thing. Like I said, don't be, you got to be genuine, man. You got to be genuine about it. It got to be a real problem that you care about. You can't just be doing it, but like by the numbers, or it shouldn't feel like work to you. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a curious person by nature. So I'm like fortunate enough to like have a business model that is like perfect for a curious person. Cause I like, just in my personal life, right, Jonah, I'm asking questions and stuff about people. I'm very curious about them and like what their favorite movies are and colors and stuff. Like, these are things that are just interesting to me. And the more you do that, they'll eventually say, well, man, I've been talking about myself this whole time. What are you up to? Well, I'm thinking of creating a digital download. And
Right.
it's an organic way of selling yourself because they ask, because they feel
Right.
guilty because they've been talking about themselves the whole damn time.
Right. It all comes back around, right? That's it. Yeah. Oh,
That's the thing.
Darnell, we got to wrap up, but what a good place to hop off. Thank you so much for being willing to let us look a little at one of your products and sharing all your wisdom. And for everyone watching either live here or if you come back and watch the replay, hop in the comments, holler out your favorite part, let us know what you enjoyed, and make sure to check out Darnell on his platform, darnellbrown.com. And if you had a good time here today, please like and subscribe to the Teachable YouTube channel. Also, go hop over to our channel page. We've got 3 other events with creators this week, diving deeper and deeper into digital downloads, how to sell them, how to market them, how to build some of them with AI. It's going to be a blast. So make sure to hit those notifications so you get reminded about it. And before we hop off, Darnell, can you do that promoting thing? Promote yourself. Let us know what those links are in the comments, what's coming up, and what you're excited about them.
Oh man, the cringe moment. So the
it doesn't have. Gotta love it. Now we gotta live what we.
No, but I think that you already did it. Like
Yeah.
darnellbrown.com is the best place to go to see what I'm up to. The links to things that I'm working on, or especially with this digital download that I showed you as an example, like that's there as well too. So you can get this. Yeah, I don't know what else to say when it comes to the links, though. I think that's all. That's all of them. And that's it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to leave you with the value, with the value within this this event here of okay, creating a value packed thing and how I think of it and what's going on mechanically with me. But yeah, that's the big thing. But yeah, you can find me on all of the socials, of course. DarnellBrown.com is the best place to go to. But yeah, the rest of the links will be in the show notes here, I think.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you so much, Darnell. It's always a blast talking to you, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all.
Cheers.